Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, debaters, coaches, and our dear audience that was able to come here tonight, I hope that tonight's debate will be a great opportunity for both schools to show their debating chops. Now, I'm Isaac, I will be your chairman for this debate, and a little birdie told me that this is a very special night. Why is that? Because this is, well, for both schools, their first debate of the season, of the tournament. I remember a very, very long time ago when I was in your place. The emotions are high, the nerves are hot. But worry not, my lovelies, tonight will be a great debating night. Now, before I get lost in more nostalgia, I am here to remind you of the rules of FDA debating. Now, of course, we have 5 speakers from the government that will partake in an oral joust against 5 speakers from the opposition. Now, all these 10 debaters will be under the very, very precise scrutiny of our timekeeper here, Eugénie. Thank you very much. Each speaker will be granted 360 seconds, or as a normal person may say, 6 minutes for their speeches. Now, the first minute and the last minute of every speech shall be protected from interruptions from POIs. But what is a POI? Well, thank you very much, imaginary audience member. A POI must be a question. That is very important. A short question that is asked by standing up and raising your hand above your head, or like this. Now, the speaker that is on stage may or may not accept this POI. However, they have to take at least 1, and it is recommended to take 2. If you accept the question, you have to answer it. And the second interruption possible are points of order. If you have a point of order, they are made directly to me, the chairman. I will be sat right there, and I will stop the clock and see if I can arrange the grievances. Points of order are here to ensure that the rules and principles of the French debating associations are respected. Now, the beginning and the end of the unprotected time will be signaled by our timekeeper with this sound. Great. And at the end of the 6 minutes, you will hear a much more insistent at this point, the speaker is expected to finish their speech as fast as possible. If within the next 10 to 15 seconds they have not stopped, the timekeeper is allowed to be as brash and rude as possible. Since you, dear audience, are a full part of the debate tonight, you are allowed to participate with 2 modes. If you agree with what is being said right now on stage, I want to hear you say, hear, hear. Hear, hear. Great, great, great. And if you disagree, however, on what is being said, I want you to shout, shame. Shame. Great. Now, in order to start the debate, I'm going to welcome our 2 teams. First, hosting the debate here is Supméca. And so we have the Prime Minister, Xavier, their second speaker, Esteban, their third speaker, Zahra, their fourth speaker, Hossam, and finally the whip, Mathis. And opposing tonight's motion will be Télécom, the opposition, with their first speaker, Quentin, their second speaker, Salim, their third speaker, Fan, their fourth speaker, Alexandre, and their last speaker, Taha. Thank you very much. Now, I forgot to add the most important part of this debate tonight. Who will have the difficult task of wondering who wins and who loses? Our dear judges. A round of applause for our 3 judges. Thank you very much. We have Émilie Uthey-Wright, we have Chantal Schutz, and we have Lucas Pearson. Thank you very much for being here. Now, to guide them, the judges will have 5 equal criteria tonight. First, most evidently, is arguments. Of course, it contains for the content of the speech. Is it logical? Is it pertinent? Is it consistent? Following, we have form. This is the presentation of said content. Timing, structure, and rhetorical devices count towards this point. Teamwork, of course, is the third point, which pertains to a team's cohesion and strategy. Engagement. Engagement is how well a team interacts with their opponents. Rebuttals and POIs can count towards this point. And last, but certainly not least, we have star quality, our very specific je ne sais quoi that we all love. And at last, I will end my speech. I will stop stealing the glory, and I will turn to our teams and to the motion. I will remind the motion tonight, which is, this House believes that humans are born to work. And now I call upon the first speaker for the government to start tonight's debate, Xavier.
Dear Chairperson, thank you so much for this introduction. With you to lead this debate, everything is going to work out for the best. Dear timekeeper, you work like clockwork. Workaholic Jerry, thank you for making time for us tonight in your busy schedules. Precious members of the government, even the daily grind is a pleasure with you. Beloved opposition, this debate will challenge our relationship, but I'm sure that we can work it out. We can work it out. And I see a swarm of hard-working students and people made it to this debate tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Shh. Can you hear it? 200,000 fluttering wings and 300,000 busy legs. That's what I have in this box. Don't be misled by my outfit. I'm not an astronaut. I'm a beekeeper. Whoa, looks like my bees have some energy to spare tonight. A colony of honeybees is a perfect example of organized work. Each sort of bees has a clearly assigned task. Bees, by pollinating plants and flowers, play a critical role in maintaining the health of many ecosystems we live in. From the moment they are born, bees are equipped with the instincts and abilities they need to carry out their duties. They are highly efficient workers. That is why bees understand that life is work, and vice versa.
POI?
Yes, please.
How are bees related to the motion, which is about humans?
Bees are organized in society, such as humans do, and that's a very clear point, important point. Humans too are born to work. I'm not saying that it is a good or bad thing, yada yada yada, no. I want this point to be crystal clear. It is not a question of if we should be working or not, or if it is right or wrong to be working. No. Morality is none of our business. Humans are born to work. That's a fact. And that's what my team and myself are going to demonstrate tonight. But first, let's define the motion. We all know what humans are. Wingless bipeds, slightly awkward animals. Human, Homo sapiens, mankind. I am human. You are humans. The location to be born to expresses the idea of inheriting a set of circumstances. Work can be defined as something to perform or carry out. a task requiring constant effort or as repeated operations. But something that works is also something that functions or operates according to plan or design. Well, let me open my hive to show you inside. Please, roll out the red carpet for the queen of the hive. Or should I say, mother of all bees. Her task, giving birth. And tonight, she will explain that we humans are products of work, that we have to work, and if we don't, we die. Yes, please.
Do you imply that bees and humans have the same goal in life, have the same purpose?
Of course not, but they do both work. Her task, giving birth, and tonight she will explain that we humans are a product of work and that we have to work, if not, we die. Next is the drone, or the male bee. He's going to explain that we humans are biologically designed for work, especially compared to other species. And then our brave worker bee, who is going to highlight that we humans, by creating value, we shape our society and ourselves as the only purpose in life. And last but not least, our whip, the wasp, who is going to sting the opposition until they are black and blue and give you an overview of our team's points. I have a dream that one day we approach our work with the same energy and enthusiasm as our busy friends. Who knows? We might just create something sweet and wonderful along the way. So please accept this motion. And remember, we are always busy. Thank you very much.
Well, what a great introduction to our debate tonight. And now I will ask you all to accompany on stage the response from the opposition with Quentin.
First, I want to thank Supméca for hosting this debate today. It's an honor for all of us to be debating here today. Dear Chairman, delightful timekeeper, when I look in your eyes, I know what I was born to meet you. Distinguished members of the jury, thank you for being here today. You took out of your work. You took time out of work and braved the strikes to be present. But by the end of this debate, you will realize that it was worth it. Members of the proposition, I hope we will be able to work out our differences. Fellow members of the opposition, I hope that we will shed light on the true nature of the human life, and that our proposition the proposition will be enlightened by our arguments. The audience, you will realize that life is so much more than work. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. We all know the expression, love what you do, and you'll never work a day in your life. We all have an idea of what work is. But this shows that the common definition of work is forcing yourself to do an activity, doing physical or mental efforts, not because you want to, but because you need to, usually because you need money. This may look like a satisfying definition of the word work, but I think we still haven't fully worked it out yet. Because you said that every task that requires effort is work, but I think you're confusing work with effort, which are two different concepts. For instance, making yourself a sandwich requires effort, yet no one would reasonably call it work. Breathing air requires effort, yet no one would call that work. Listening to your speech required effort, although it kind of felt like work. On the other hand, someone really talented at what they do could be said to work effortlessly, hence working without effort. To get more insights on the meaning of the word work, we could look at the etymology of the word in some Latin languages, such as French or Spanish. Work comes from the Latin trepalium, which is none other than a tool of torture. That is right. Our ancestors associated work with torture, and I think we can all relate to that. So this brings us to the question, are we born to work? In other terms, is work the ultimate purpose of our life? Of course, it is not, and we'll show you why. Fellow members of the opposition and members of my family, you've been working so hard. We haven't seen each other in months. Dear members of the proposition, dear beekeeper, we've had our disagreements, but it's always a pleasure to see your distant cousin at a family gathering like this. Let me clarify the situation here. I'm glad we all got the text message on the family group chats. You probably are as happy as me to learn that Grandma here recently won the lottery. I think we've all learned a lot from you, Grandma. You taught us that work is not the final goal of life. When you share this money with us, we will all live the way you taught us to, without working. But first, yes?
What if you love your job?
Well, loving your job, if you really love your job, then it's kind of like, if you really love your job, then when it becomes a job, like it takes all the joy out of it. For instance, like a graphic designer might like graphic design, but when it becomes work, it becomes way less enjoyable. But first, let us share your lessons, Grandma, with the proposition who doesn't seem to always pay attention to what you say, to the audience and the jury, in the hope that they will listen to your wisdom. First, my brother, Salim, a major in psychology in the prestigious University of Chicago, will develop the psychological problems that can be caused by work, from our behavior to the reward mechanisms in our brain. Then, my cousin, Fan, who's... Yeah?
How did he major in psychology without working?
Well, he did work to major in psychology, but that doesn't mean that it is the purpose of his life. The purpose of his life is something much higher that required work to get there. Then, my cousin, Fan, who's so passionate about workers' rights, will explain why, from a socio-economic view, believing that you are born to work only shows that you have fallen victim to a capitalist view of society. Uncle Phil, our favorite monk, glad you're back from your spiritual journey. I hope that you will be able to enlighten us with a more philosophical approach to this question by pondering on the meaning of life. Finally, Grandma, our whip, to whom we owe so many lessons on the value of enjoying life, will free us from work by sharing her winnings. But I am also sure.
Last one, please.
Yeah?
How did she bring you up without working?
How did you what, sir?
Bring you up.
Bring me up. Well, are you implying that the purpose of the life of Grandma is to get me up? I don't think I got the point here, sorry. But I'm also sure that meanwhile you, audience, will also come to sense, wake up, and realize that you are not born to work. You are so much more than that. Don't let the proposition reduce you to your sole ability to work for someone else. Grandma, I'm sure I'm your favorite child. Please give me the money. Please reject this motion. Thank you.
shall now hear our first argument. Speaker from the government is Esteban. Honorable Chairperson, your royal treat. Sweet Barperson, my bees' productivity dropped down since you allowed them to clock out. Distinguished members of the jury, you make honey sweeter. Adverse opposition, you disrupt my honeymoon with the chairperson. My gorgeous, hard-working bees from the government, get back to work. Dear audience, I'm delighted to see the hive so full of astonishing beings tonight. Good evening. Attentive beekeeper, thank you for taking care of the entire colony. Like you said, work is a task requiring constant effort, but it's also a word that describes something that is functional. Dear Shadow PM, how dare you say that the simple fact of breathing is not work? Well, when you're breathing, your body works. And you also said that work is a word related to torture. But human, as I can see, evolve. So no, it should be more a pleasure than a torture. Today, I, the queen bee, the single source of the workforce, begetter of all future workers, I'm going to explain to you why life is work. That just as we are born to life, we are born to work. We'll explore three main bzzz. First, if you're born, that means your mother had to labor for it, and so you're born to work and for work. Second, like bees, humans are constantly working. From the moment they are born, they never stop. And third, humans, if you want to keep living, you must work. Number one, a synonym for work is labor. And it just so happens that childbirth is called labor. I don't believe in coincidence. So we are quite literally born out of work and to work. The very act of being born is work for both mother and child. Work is part of us from the moment we are born. I'm not a drama queen, but I work extremely hard every day to give birth and take care of the new workers who are going to make honey and keep the nest blossoming. Like my fellow queen Rihanna, you see me work, 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 work. I am giving birth, 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 birth. Number two, you are working all the time, even when you think you're not. Work goes far beyond the things we do in our jobs. At the gym, you work on your fitness. At night school, on learning a foreign language.
Pierre,
Yeah.
you said that people never stop working, yet why did it take us 2 hours to get here because of the strikes?
People decided to stop working to fight for their work. So they're still going to work. I'm sure all parents here will agree with me that the job of parenting is one of the most challenging types of work. Life is a byproduct of work.
If you want to play the piano, like Beethoven, or sing like Justin Bieber, you will need to train. If you want to make your own honey, you have to learn how to take care of your lovely bees. And there you go. You're working on something else than your profession. Number 3. Life is work, because if we do not work, we die. Naturally, every living being has to work if they don't want to become extinct. We have to transform nature in order to get what we need. You humans work to produce clothes and shelters to protect yourselves. You toil to plant crops to feed yourselves.
POI,
Yeah?
according to you, is your purpose of work still work? What a tragedy life you live.
Actually, even when you are not, you're saying that you're not working, the simple fact of being alive is working. So, to produce medicines to heal yourselves, you must work. And man, as a species, must work constantly to survive. You are born to live, and to keep living, you must work. Ergo, humans are born to work. So, you are a product of labor. And a separation between working and living is difficult, if not impossible. Work and life are two sides of the same coin. In fact, as the drone bee Zahra will demonstrate, even your bodies must carry on working if you are to stay alive. Life is work and vice versa. As for me, I need to get back to work. Please accept the motion. We are always busy.
And now for the first argument speaker from the opposition, Salim.
It doesn't work. Dear Chairman, dear bell girl, friends from the proposition, dear member of the jury, supportive coaches, family from the opposition, in the literal sense, because she's my cousin, he's my brother, and anyways. Dear audience, good evening. My name is Salim, and I studied human psychology for years. That's why today I'm going to show you through the human psychology perspective that humans are not born to work. But before, I would like to come back to some inconsistencies from the government. Dear government, thank you for comparing us to bees. I feel so beige. You said we are always working. Like you try to convince me that when I'm sleeping, I'm working. Thank you. Dear Queen, I think you should slow down in terms of giving birth because the heart is burning. We are two men. Now that these points are clear, I can begin my speech. In this speech, I will take you in a journey into human psychology, and I will demonstrate you with simple arguments in which each of you will recognize herself and himself that humans are not born to work. First, we will see that work can lead to burnouts, and then in a second time, we will see that the rewarding circuit of our brain tend to choose rewarding activities which are easier activities and not work. And in the third time, we will talk of procrastination. Clear? Let's go with the first point. If, as you argue, the government, we are born to work, that means that our body and our mind should be especially designed to work. But that's not the case. Let's have a bunch of good works: mental and physical fatigue, difficulty in concentrating, in memorizing. These are the consequences that work can have on human mind. With such consequences, how can you say that? Please.
What do you make of depression caused by unemployment?
Actually, depression is not caused by unemployment. It is caused by the pressure that the society put on you and the fact that you do not get money and things to live. Let's move forward. 12% of the population here in France suffer from burnouts and pressure. Because of what? Work. I don't think a life goal can lead us to that. Let's move to the second argument. The biochemical aspect of our body. Let's follow the same reasoning. If we are born to work, then our brain should always choose work among other things. Right, but that's not the case again. Why? Because our brain has a rewarding circuit which produces dopamine when we do activities that are necessary for us. For example, when you eat, your brain produces dopamine. Yes, please.
What's the difference between doing an activity and work?
Doing an activity, actually you could say that anything you do is an activity. Moving is an activity. If you imply that an activity is work, that means everything it works, so no debate. And that's not the case. Let's move forward. As I was saying, dopamine rewards us when we do things that our brain likes. For example, if you got to choose between a slap and a massage, your brain will tell you to choose the massage. When you have to choose between an insult and a compliment, you choose the compliment. And it's the same principle. When you have to choose between working and playing, then you got the principle. That leads me to my third point, procrastination. Let's start with a question. Who here has never procrastinated? Nobody? Okay, 2 people from the government. You know what? The exception proves the rule. And it seems you guys are exceptions. As my prime minister said, our brain associates work with the idea of torture and unpleasant things. And that's the same thing. As we do not like working, we tend to postpone it and not do it. That's simple. Let me summarize because that's a lot of information. First, work harms us. Second, it's never the first pick of our brain. And then it is deeply embedded in us that work refers to pain. What a life goal. Now that you are expert in human psychology as me, my cousin, Fan, will demonstrate that even through a socio-economic approach, humans are not born to work. Thank you for your attention. Grandma, I need my money. Please reject this motion.
There's a phone there.
You can take it. That's
Huh?
You're right.
Procrastination.
Yes, procrastination.
graceful chairman, you are the brightest flower in the field. Beautiful timekeeper, we might be born to work, but you are born to rock. Exquisite judges, let's give you a taste of our honey. Discordant opposition, your speeches are work in progress. Dear Yellow Jacket family, your stripe looks dazzling tonight. Dear audience, I want to hear you buzz, hear, hear. Hear, hear. Good evening. Before anything else, it seems like the opposition is trying hard to be a hornet tonight, but their argument sounds more like flies one. You just said that work leads to burnout, and yes, it is true, and yes, burnout is wrong, but as our Prime Minister said, we are not here to talk about morality. Then you seem to confuse work and job. Like Her Royal Highness pointed out, you can work outside of your job. So I don't see where your speech is going. But let's get back on topic. I hope you enjoyed meeting Her Royal Highness. We are not done yet with the tour of the hive. I'm a drone, a male bee, and I only have one job during my brief lifetime: to mate with the queen during a wedding flight. I know, it is a pretty cool job. I quite enjoy it. Actually, I am made for it. I don't even have a stinger, although I do sting, in my own way, if you see what I mean. I am designed for reproduction, just as you, humans, are designed for work. You may... Yes?
Isn't this constant comparison between us and bees a simple understatement for human complexity?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, sure. Isn't comparing us to bees an understatement of our complexity as a species?
Bees are just here to illustrate some points of our arguments. They are not our arguments. And you, humans, are designed to work. You may like it or not, but as my beautiful queen explained to you, you cannot escape working. It is carved in your body. Your body is designed to work and is working all the time. Yes, your body is designed to work. It is the most elegantly crafted machine. You are designed to build, to put effort into things. Her Royal Highness said it. Nature provides you with elements you must transform to survive. Through time and evolution, the body of your ancestors changed in order to become the body you have today, to ensure your survival. If you want my opinion, it would look better with some stripes and maybe wings, but it is probably just a me thing. But I have to say, I'm a bit jealous of your hands. Thermal position? What an impressive feature. Being able to grab things, it is worth more than all the honey in the world. This is what allows you to work with tools. Yes?
If we are designed to work, why do I need 8 hours of sleep every day?
You may be designed to work, but just as, for example, your car is designed to work also, sometimes it needs fuel. So sometimes you need to sleep. So this is what allows you to work with tools, to work the land, to build bridges, for example. We bees cannot do all these things. And your legs, you can stand, run, and jump. You are strong enough to carry heavy loads. That's how your body is designed to work from birth. You possess an innate ability to move and work. You are designed for it, and thus you are born to work. Even if you don't realize it, your body is still working 24/7. It never stops working. No, thank you. It never stops working from the time you are a fetus. When you're sleeping, your heartbeat slows, but doesn't stop. And when your heart ultimately stops working, you die. No, thank you. Just being alive is proof that you work. In fact, your body is a huge factory, like a hive. Yes?
If we are designed to work, why do we build machines and artificial intelligence to work for us?
Tools and all what you said are nothing more than elements you create thanks to your efficient body to improve the ability your body already have. Look at you. From where I stand, I see a bunch of humans sitting still. But that does not mean you are passive. You are breathing, your heart is beating, your brain is running. And the blood and oxygen act as fuel in this great factory. If this is not work, what is? Dear judges, please accept the motion and keep this in mind. Just like us, you are always busy. Thank you.
We are now at the halfway point of tonight's debate, so I want everyone to accompany on stage the second argument speaker from the opposition.
Okay. Okay. Honorable Chair, each and every single member of the jury, our precious timekeeper, the clear strikes of your bells are just alarms telling us we should never take work as our destiny. Dear fellow engineers, or bees from the government, my family of the opposition, who were going to be the lucky ones getting the lottery money from grandma. And lovely audience, thank you for being here to witness us convincing everyone that humans are not born to work. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Our family holds the belief that humans are not born to work. I remember it was Grandma who first told us this since childhood. Well, sorry, I just forgot to introduce myself. My name is Fan, and I am the president of the Karl Marx fan club in the school, and I'm in my last year for socioeconomics, and I'm looking for a job because, well, I need to put food on my table. I work to live, not live to work. And of course, the lottery our dearest grandma won would help me a lot, and maybe even free me from the shackles of work. In my speech, I would like to show you, firstly, people are tricked by the capitalists into believing that they are born to work. And secondly, we live for things that bring us pleasure, and we should definitely guard this right. I've done internships in big-name companies. What I recall was that those shining people with fascinating titles actually may not enjoy their work. I remember one of them telling me, you know what, Fan, when you don't work, even though you have enough money to support the rest of your life, you're regarded as a weirdo. I prefer not to be out of the crowd. Well, let's not discuss here whether one should follow what the mass publics are doing. But the first point I'm bringing here is that these people are taken advantage of by the higher capitalist system, eyes covered with the false truth. There are two kinds of people who claim that humans are born to work. One is the group of the capitalists who are greedily profiting from the second group, which I believe our dearest government also belongs to, the group of employees, or bees in this case, brainwashed by the system telling them that they are born to work, and they work for a higher purpose. Yes?
How do you explain that unemployed people lose their sense of purpose?
because they are brainwashed and blindfolded by the society that they are born to work. Well, to be honest, actually, I feel sorry for you that you are so deep in the dip. I really hope that with my arguments, I can wake you up and show you that we are not actually surviving to work. Here, I'd like to come back to a few points of the Bs. As the first speaker mentioned, you actually even took being highly efficient as born to work. No, you're just the tools of the capitalist. I'm sorry. And sadly, our third or second speaker, our B queen, is just handing over her body for others to use. Sorry. You are all taken advantage of and are just unfortunate workers falling into the elaborate lies of the people higher up the food chain. This greater purpose have driven you away from personal life. Well, actually, this greater purpose is not charming. It is alienated labor, according to Karl Marx. According to World Inequality Report 2022, as I would quote, the gap between the average income of the top 10% and the bottom 50% within countries have almost doubled. We are not working here towards a better world. We are sadly hypnotizing ourselves and letting our bosses decide our lives just like puppets. What's worse, some even dream of climbing up the social ladder to be capitalists who suck blood out of workers. Just as my cousin Salim has just stated, humans are drawn to things that give them pleasure. This is also the second point I would like to develop. Humans are always trying to free themselves from labor, just as we did with multiple industrial revolutions, and we still need to fight for this right. We are so tamed by the society, just like the alienated Gregory Samsa in Kafka's The Metamorphosis, that we even forget that there are other ways we can see ourselves. Well, the strikes against the retirement reform, including the one that is disrupting us greatly today, is another strong proof. It is after retirement that we start a life fully belonging to ours, and that those demonstrators have shown us that we must never let the divided society take that away from us. Yes?
How can you be a member of society without working?
I can, just as what Grandma will do, that she will pass on the lottery money to us and we will live to chase our dreams.
You're here.
Do you hear the people sing the songs of angry men? This is one of my favorite lyrics from Les Misérables. I hope it will bring you some food for thought. So please, ladies and gentlemen, we are not born to work. We are not here to provide for the capitalist. We are born to be ourselves, either with some help from our grandmas or from other wonderful happenings. And next, Uncle Timothy is going to show us more from a philosophical aspect. And so, lost people in the government, I hope with my speech and my family's speech, you would finally wake up. And again, I'm also sorry for your situation now. Grandma, I'm sure I'm your favorite child, so please give me the money, please. And audience, judges, chairman, timekeeper, everyone, so please reject this motion. Thank you.
Welcome, Hossam.
Dear Chairperson, we're attracted to you like bees to honey. Delightful bell person, thank you for supervising the shifts in this hive. Exquisite jury, I am bewitched by you.
idle opposition, you should be labeled not safe for work. Bee family from the government. Flower power! I heard some outrageous claims from the opposition. They seem to confuse working and having a job. Our drone explained well how we are biologically designed to work, not specifically have a job. I am a wild and untamed thing. I am a bee with a deadly sting. I'm a worker bee, the smallest of honeybees. Throughout my life, I've had many roles. When I was young, I was a nurse. I nurtured and fed the larvae. I processed incoming nectar, fed the queen, and made and capped the honey. Now I gather nectar for the colony to survive. I have a dangerous and tiring job. I work all day, from sunrise to sunset. Just like Pablo Picasso said, for me, working means breathing. If I cannot work, I cannot breathe. I'll forage 3 fields for nectar. Those would be my 3 main points.
You're right.
Yeah?
Do you think Picasso is an example to follow?
Yeah, of course.
Shame!
Well, I'll forage those 3 points for you. 1, work shapes us. 2, work helps us fulfill our potential. And 3, by working, we create value, contribute to ourselves and society. Firstly, work increases a person's sense of usefulness and belonging. It also provides financial assistance, opportunities to socialize, and a sense of identity and stability. Okay?
Is your purpose to provide for others?
Yeah, of course, I'm happy to provide for others. I'm a member of society. Thus, work is a pillar of society. For individuals, work provides structure to their lives. It holds up families and social bonds. Work provides money, and with money comes access to goods and services. It provides physical and mental well-being, as well as self-worth. Oh, thank you. For society as a whole, work promotes cohesion and safety. It fosters social and economic development and organizes life at a macro level. Look at all the cranes and the builders around us, busy working. New housing is rising from the ground. A new population is moving in. And so life goes on and society grows. Humans evolve. By working together, man has the unique ability to plan and work on a large scale. Society is work. Humans are born to society, thus to work. Simple, right?
PUI, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you imply that our value depend on our work in the society?
Yeah, for sure. If you're not working in a society, you're not contributing, and so you're useless. Secondly, many philosophers confirm this. Aristotle says that reasoning is work. That brings us closer to perfection. Work helps us realize our true potential. In other words, achieve what destiny we are born to. To quote Nietzsche, to become who you are, you must undertake a challenging journey. It takes hard work and perseverance to reach your potential. We work to better ourselves and eventually become our true self. For example, the newborn has to work in order to learn how to talk or walk. He will not walk by accident. Finally, in a beehive, each individual contributes to the hive by making food. No, thank you. Building the nest to protect the colony, feeding the larvae, or even breeding. Bees are willing to sting and die for the colony if its survival is at stake. Because they cannot survive without this colony. Yeah, go ahead.
With all this work, what are you keeping for yourself?
I mean, by working, I fulfill myself. See? In a human society too, everyone plays their part. People eat bread, and yet most of them don't make their own bread.
Shame.
They drive cars, but only a few work on an assembly line. They depend on each other's craft to exist and in order to survive. Work collectively keeps them alive. They survive because others work with and for them. The fisherman provides food. The builder gives shelter. The doctor monitors health. Nobody can do it all. Humans are born to work, because otherwise mankind would die. Coming next, Mathis, the wasp, will whip you into shape. And always remember, we're always busy.
And now the final argument speaker from the opposition will be Alexandre.
How is it a shame? Chairman, may the stars shine a path towards the true meaning of life. Bell boy, bell girl. Here, here. Your expertise in bells makes me wonder what you do in your free time. Dear Jerry, what lovely eyes. I know Valentine's Day was on Tuesday, but when I see you, it's every single second. Mom, those 30 years spending the family money in a 5-star Deluxe Plus Plus Buddhist monastery made me realize how much I care about you. I love my family, especially you, Mommy. Mommy. And yet again, the opposition. My least favorite bees. We all know you're here for the money too. Have a little respect. And eventually, the audience. Out of kindness, I give you a 5% discount to my online meditation class. Here! Everybody, good evening. Or should I say, namaste. My name is Timothy, or Alexandre, humble monk in the Buddhist Institute of Dubai. Tonight, I'm determined to show you humans are not born to work. First, a few things. Dear bees, you seemed horrified at us ogling at grandma's money, saying that we need to give to society. Yet I've seen the bee movie, twice actually. I know you just want to sell your honey, you little Uncle Scrooge. Also in the audience, I see you people supporting the motion, yet the second you're given a Spanish task, you go to ChatGPT. So, I now come back to my arguments. First, I'm going to prove you that the motion is denying of free will. Second, I will enlighten you with the true meaning of life. My studies of Buddhism led me to discover many types of philosophy. Please.
In what way does free will contradict work?
I mean, if I'm born to do something that reduces my free will, which is literally what makes me human, I think there's a little contradiction, don't you think? So, my studies of Buddhism led me to discover many types of philosophies. Marx, as she said, for instance, said the first historical act is to work because we need to produce means our subsistence. Yet, does this mean we were born to work? It's far from being true. You know what? Let's say I was born to work. It already gives me chills. The second I make my first magnificent baby steps in this world, I'm already destined to do something, the terrible W, work. This would mean my life lies with work and ends with it. If this was my purpose in life, I could never hope for anything else. My dreams of having a peaceful, contemplative, chill and comfy life are killed in the egg, or for the bees, in the larva. Because some major commandment in my nature is dictating my will, that work should suffice to make me human. In the end, defending that humans are born to work is tantamount to deny my free will and my capacity to aspire to something greater. Then, in continuity with the first point, I'm wondering, what are humans born to? Who am I? Where am I? Who are you, pretentious bees? Oh, my bad, I'm just an angry monk, lost in this train of thoughts. Objectively, we are quite random, and life might be considered meaningless. When you think about it, we are pretty absurd. What am I doing here at this time of the night? Yes?
If your life is meaningless, why are you still alive?
My life is meaningless. So, you're literally implying in front of an entire audience that I should kill myself? I mean, the audacity of this bee. So, well, I'm getting anxious now. To Pascal, our frightening mortal condition entices us to do things to divert ourselves. But that's not the most important thing here. What is truly relevant is to realize, no thanks, it's truly relevant is to realize that humans yearn to find a meaning to their life. But what could be these meanings? I myself found the meaning of life in contemplation of my mom. And a tremendous amount of money. Well, mentioning that, you didn't send me a Christmas gift last year. I mean, now that you have money, now or never. Any of you heard of Platonism? Well, Platonism told us about the meanings of life. We are born to attain the highest form of knowledge, of finding joy in what nature offers us. I mean, you bees should know about it. Focusing on knowing ourselves and our emotions. Work is about repeating the same thing over and over. Meanwhile, life is about experiencing new things. No, thanks. No, I just can't. On their deathbed, nobody would say, I should have worked on Sundays. Oh, the meditation bell. As my lovely, yet sadly communist niece already told you, free yourself from labor and end with this dictatorship of Queen Bee. Don't let work distract you from seeing your friends, your family, well, a certain part of your family. I mean, you don't want to finish like this beekeeper, no offense, burn out, I don't know, 20, 21? Yeah. What is certain is that work is not your purpose in life. And that's my message for you tonight. So, thank you for your attention. And Mom, please, you know that my monk studies are very expensive. So, I implore you, give me, I don't know, $1 million or $2 million. So please, meditate, because it's important, and reject emotion. Thank you.
And now both our teams have been able to present all their arguments, and it is time to whip them into shape. And So we have our first whip, the whip from the government, Mathis.
Thank you. Magnificent Chairman, you are to this debate what the Queen is to the hive.
Hear, hear.
Dear bellwoman, you give our labor structure. Energetic member of the jury, your job isn't easy, but be sure that I'll make it easier. Lazy member of the opposition. To me, you're nothing more than wannabes. Lively fellow members of the government. It feels well working with you. Dear audience, is being here with us your plan B? Anyway, good evening. I'm a WASP, and by WASP, I don't mean a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. I mean one of those brisk, bustling, buzzing insects in a striped yellow jacket that can fall from the sky with vengeance. I'm here because I sting, and I'll show you that your argument stink. Perplexing opposition. I think you pollen my leg. First of all, I'd like to stress out a huge point of clash. First of all, our dear beekeeper said that work can be seen as an effort. And you, the very first thing you said, that work is different from effort. And you say then that breathing isn't work. I hope that your lungs are working, because if not, that would be very scary. Then you also confuse the goal of life. You say that the purpose of life isn't work. We never say that the purpose of life is work. We say that we are born, the beginning of life is work. Of course, we'll have to work to get to a better future. Then the human psychologist. You said that 12% of the French population is in burnout because of work. I think it's a sad truth. But you need to work to find a job that makes you happy. And once again, do not say that work is the same thing as job. Job is a kind of work, but there is other thing.
Point of information.
Yes, please.
I am born with the ability to kill people, so I am born to kill people?
No, that's not what I'm saying. Salim, you also said that brain choose great, nice, good-feeling things. And I hope that you find what makes you happy, but you will need to work very hard in order to find it. Then fad. You say that bosses, you describe bosses as puppet master. I think that you are judging them, you are judging their work. And I think that our Prime Minister said that we will not be questioning morals in this debate. Then our Buddhist monk. You say that life is maybe meaningless, or the meaning is to find the meaning of life. I won't disagree, especially with a monk. It might be right, but it's very hard to find that meaning. And that's why you have to work very hard in order to find it. So, while the opposition kept clamoring for more honey and shorter working hours, my team got down to some serious work. First of all, our beekeeper. Thank you. Thank you for all the work you've done, allowing my friend to enjoy incredible accommodations. Thank you to make it clear that to be born is to inherit a set of circumstances. You also highlight a true definition of work, a task requiring constant effort but also something that operates according to a certain design. Also, you insisted on the link between morality and emotion, which is none. You, Royal Highness, incarnation of grace and dignity, you underline that being is work in itself. It is especially true for human beings, for whom work begins at birth, as it was majestically described. That work continues at the office, at home, and everywhere else. Being a human is work. Oh, drone bee, you could drone on all day, I will never get bored. Who else than an expert in reproduction could explain to us how human beings are designed to work and for work? The human body works all the time, even when they are sleeping. In fact, they are so well designed that even bees can be jealous of the human gene pool. Yes, please.
Do you imply that a mother knows the human body better than a doctor?
No, I don't, but I can see, and I'm a bit jealous of your opposable thumbs. Our worker bee, your words flowed like honey. You demonstrated how work allows people to fulfill their potential, and that work creates who humans are and allows them to build, craft, and create their own environment, just as bees that create beeswax to build the hive. Their work contributes to society, and in turn, the swarm contributes to them. So please accept the motion, and remember, we always bzzz. Thank you.
And now we are quickly marching to the end of our debate, and to close tonight's debate, we will hear Taha on stage.
First and foremost, I would like to thank everyone present in this evening for your time and effort, especially taking into account the special today's circumstances. I mean, what an irony having to defend such a, may I dare say, a falling apart motion, especially in on a strike day. I mean, what could I say? Humans plan, God laugh, I guess. Honorable Chairman, lovely bell girl, distinguished members of the jury, imprudent individuals of a proposition, wise family members of the opposition, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm afraid I'll be blunt this evening, but please excuse me. Given age, you'll understand. And by the way, don't let appearances deceive you. I just want to seize this opportunity to tell you that I could never be prouder of these young, fine people for their resolution to live their life to the fullest, without being dragged into the delusional lifestyle that the proposition adopts and encourages. Although, deep down, I feel nothing but pity towards their innocent souls for what they put themselves, willingly may I add, into. However, it is their crippled train of thought and short-sighted perspectives that still gives me hope. There is still hope for you, dear audience, to not let yourself be fooled by whatever twisted ideals propositions try to brainwash you into. Speaking of which, I would like to thank the B team, may I say, as a whole for making my point clear for me, as well as you, of course. In fact, by considering something as superficial as the constant comparison they're opting for between the human species with all its complicated layers with something as mindless as a bee colony. And by the way, bees and wasps, they do not get together alone. So in case work for you means skipping on biology 101, that's another thing to take into account. It seems clear to me, as well as I'm pretty sure everybody else in this room, that the concepts of their motion are being excessively stretched out of proportion in order to accommodate their fallen argumentative edifice. Not only that, not only do they try to undermine our arguments by simply stating some of the weak points that they try to get to stretch in order to accommodate what they believe in, but they also provide some questionable claims, such as limiting the value of an individual by solely considering the amount of work he or she could put. Which goes to highlight once again how desperate they are to convince you with their absurd quest of harm self-infliction. I would like to remind you as well, as this lovely audience, that we debunked this allegedly point of contention, taking into account 3 perspectives. The first one provided by my grandson, my favorite grandson. Sorry, did I say that out loud? No hard feelings, okay? I believe that everyone could relate to, right before talking about that, I believe that everyone could relate to the definitions provided by our first speaker, unlike the butchered definition that have been provided with the proposition. We provided some statistics that prove in a nutshell that if supposedly the sole purpose of our existence is to work, we would be paradoxically unfit for it, hell, even bad at it. In fact, working environments tend to be generally stressful, and it goes without saying that working too much or heavy workloads in general, not necessarily heavy, workloads in general tend to have an enormous and significant psychological toll on the individuals. Yes, please.
How do you say that procrastination is better than work when it leads to our demise?
I did not say that, and I will be talking about procrastination. In fact, well, since you mentioned it, I would like to go through this point. I mean, procrastination is just another means to highlight how unfit we are for work in general. I mean, it is a psychological means that we as a human species developed simply in order to cope with the demanding environment, work environment, simply put. Enough talking about how working excessively could have an enormous psychological toll. Yes, please.
How would be the world if anybody works? No one works, sorry.
I am not, frankly, meant to answer you that because, as you might say, what could I say? I mean, if no one worked, I simply could not know how to answer to that question because of your twisted definition of what work is, so that's for starters. But however, another big thing that you are doing, and which leads me to my second point, is that the misconception that you have between work and effort, which is, in fact, I don't blame you. It is just a result of the capitalistic, cannibalistic machinery that incepts into you that you are simply and solely valued by the amount of work that you put into society. Now that we talked about this point, I would like to end up talking about the third point that was amazingly presented by our monk, which revolves around why do we exist? Do you really believe that we exist solely for work? I mean, this claim in itself would be, as an understatement, I would say, it would be an insult to us as a species. You are not taking into account the many complex layers that goes into what a human being is. I mean, I am in no way able to provide to you enough information given the lack of time, but I would like to say one thing. Please do the right thing. Reject the motion. Thank you.
And very well done to all of our speakers tonight. That was such an amazing debate. Shall we work? Shall we not work? Well, I will not be the one to work out the answer, but our judges will be. And I would like everyone to applaud the judges whilst they leave the room. They have the difficult task of deciding who wins and who doesn't. So,
thank you. So, the moment you've all been expecting, I guess. You've all been expecting, sorry. We want to thank both teams for this wonderful debate, interesting, entertaining, and we want to give a special thank to Supméca for hosting this debate tonight. As a jury, we're going to make general appreciations, general remarks on the debate before giving our verdict.
So, firstly, concerning arguments, there were some things that we appreciated and some things that we didn't. For example, among the things that we didn't appreciate, we would have liked to seen the definitions being expressed more clearly, being tackled early on in the debate, so this issue wouldn't have lasted throughout the debate. We would have wanted to see arguments that targeted the motion directly. But there were also some good points. For example, there was a lot of diversity in the arguments. There was great originality as well.
Yeah, regarding form, as a jury, we appreciated the use of a very large amount of rhetorical devices, including songs, humor, metaphors, the way you brought all the vocabulary within your speeches and the vocabulary relating to your team lines and so on. But we regretted that the timing has not been respected by several speakers and that sometimes the structure and the signposting was not very clear.
On teamwork, we thought both team lines were quite original and amusing, especially clearly the bees. But we all felt that the team line should actually be in the service of the arguments and really support them and help develop them. And that may not have been sufficiently the case on either side, for that matter. For instance, the bee-humans parallel, which is a classic of sociology, I suppose, could have been developed and explored in more depth, or at least made more convincing. It seemed a little bit superficial at times. And on the other side, the family may have been perhaps too specific. So we had specialists of their own fields, but it seemed like it was one given case, and it wasn't sufficiently general and didn't encompass all the possibilities that the arguments would have needed.
And now, star quality, our favorite criterion.
Yeah, you forgot engagement.
Oh, sorry.
I can do it afterwards, I don't mind. No worries. So regarding engagement, our less favorite criteria, we appreciated the quantity of POIs asked and accepted by each team, with an average of 3 POIs, 2 point something, but close to 3 POIs per speaker, which is a lot. Usually it's around 1 or 2, especially in the early debates. So we really appreciated that. We regretted that sometimes, first, the same POIs tend to be asked on and on. If the question was not really, if the answer was not really interesting, you kept trying to ask the same questions. And secondly, the rebuttals could have been better, especially try to put the rebuttals at the very beginning of your speech and try to have a rebuttal that is not on a very tiny point of detail, but instead sum up the argument and tackle the philosophical aspect of the argument, give a very strong opposition to this argument.
And finally, star quality. I've been very impatient. So, the debate has been very lively at some points. We've seen a lot of body language, we've seen some vocal variety, we've seen some humor, for sure. But we would like some speakers, of course, to be careful about what the FDA calls anti-star quality, how much they tackle, or how I would say they tackle the opposition. But that is the only thing we have to say about star quality.
So now comes the moment. For all the reasons that we have given you, and we analyzed each criterion carefully and took our time about it. Sorry, we worked really hard. We have decided to award a total score of 12 to the government and 18 to the opposition, and therefore the opposition wins this debate.
And to finish, we've decided to award the title of Best Speaker to Esteban.